Hi everyone, how's everybody doing today? So, our all about this month is all about, it's November of 2020, if you're watching this later, and it's all about scraps and bits and offcuts and strips. So I've got some scraps and bits and offcuts and strips here. What I did is just turn around behind me where I have two trays that as I'm working and creating, I need to move some things out of the way. I end up just turning around and tossing these bits and pieces onto these two trays. So I just turned around and gathered up all the small things, all the little bits. I didn't even have to go to my bit bucket yet and my scrap bin yet. This is just what was in those trays. So I've got plenty, and I'm hoping and I'm betting that you have plenty of scraps and bits and offcuts and strips around as well. I have one bin that's all strips. Like when I cut these branding strips off of paper, I throw them in there because there's a lot of things to do with those. Bits of cool paper that you need to cut something out of but don't want to get rid of the whole thing. Tore part of that to use, but that's a great piece of paper right there with some good canceled postage. So these are offcuts, so smaller pieces, but they're larger than bits. There was a couple of tags over there, so I grabbed those. And this is things that weren't like bits of paper, and they aren't necessarily larger pieces of paper, although some of them are, but they're different kind of paper. They're different things. So book page and pattern paper, and there's some tiny things like this, tiny envelope with a card in it. This is a collaged piece of paper. And here's a little bit of wrapping paper that something was torn off of or cut out of. It was there. Same thing. Paper bag. This is one of the things that I do with those strips quite frequently. When you're cutting things and you end up with just a strip along the edge, or you cut off the branding strip and you get some really great print paper there, I use those strips and I collage cards like this. I'll do index cards a lot. This is just actually this is a piece of cardstock, but a lot of times I'll end up with a piece of file folder that I did something with, and I'll collage onto that. And then they can be cut up or used as they are as a tag. This is a book, napkin covered book page. That's all that is left over. Same thing with this one. Some little bits and bobbles there. I used whatever was in that package, and I really like the packaging. Thought that would be great to work with. It's actually just a piece of paper, book page and napkin covered book page there. And then here's some bits and pieces of fabric, and there's a couple words stuck in there because I know some of these things, no, maybe they're not over. Okay, so there's strips and there's bits and there's all kinds of stuff on the fabric there. It's pretty much all the same kind of fabric. That's all my Paris fabric right there. And then these are pieces of fabric, but they have things stamped on them. And I think this is a bunch that Sharon had stamped and sent to me, but some awesome things. You could put any stamp on fabric, but there's some little ones, and thought that some of those might be fun to use. Actually, they're sitting there on that. I pulled them out, gone through them, and found one and used it and put the rest of them on that tray. So there they sat. Here's just some dimensional embellishments, some embellishments that have gotten stuck to each other and to whatever. Oh, and I just bent that one. well, we can get that off and we can always put something right on top of that if we need to. Some bling. There are some flowers of different types, some burlap, some little mixed media hearts. I think Sharon made that one as well, and Sharon made this as well. Sent those to me. This is a heart cut out of a cereal box. Bits and pieces of fabric. And let's see, here's some just embellishments that were sitting there. Here's some that aren't sticking to their paper, but I really like those, so hang on to those. Some flat-backed pearls and different colors were in there, so I grabbed those. Some words that are stamped that could be used. There were some bags of flowers in there. There was one skein of embroidery floss that apparently I didn't even use yet. Maybe I didn't use it for the project I thought I would, so I tossed it in there. There's some cool embellishments that are Brad's. And there's a sheet of embellishments that probably used just a couple out of there. So something on there might work. Here's a couple of locks and keys. Some fabric. Here's some lace and flowers and bits and whatever things were over there. And there's some doilies over there. I've got several there. Grabbed this jar of buttons that was sitting on there. And a little container of, oh, there's some more lace. Container of feathers that was sitting on there that I had looked through to find a feather that I wanted for a particular project. So there's a bunch of washi sitting there, and then this bucket is, this is, oh, ancient newspaper. I've done nothing to that. That came out of somebody's basement, which was amazing. And underneath it is some pattern paper, and then there's book paper, book pages and music pages and things that, some of them I've inked the edges, some of them I haven't. But as those pieces just end up torn like that, I just toss them into this bucket and then use them for bits and pieces things. So I thought today we would start with something easy for using up bits and pieces. And we have done a few things. So if you're interested in what can I do with my scraps and my bits and my offcuts and my strips, then go check out our playlist. I'm going to turn a fan down here. Give me just a second. Go check out our playlist because I know we already have a couple tutorials in there of different things to make. And then throughout the next few weeks, both Sharon and I will be recording more. I've got a list of ideas and things that I have made that I want to do for this month. This is a fun month to me. Using your scraps and bits and offcuts and strips is fun because you're going to have every color under the sun, every design, all kinds of things, and you could literally make anything you want out of them. It just really leaves it open to your creativity. I grabbed some distress ink. There was a little bin here. I remember going through this looking for just the right butterfly for something, but this is full of butterfly die cuts that have just been punched out with a punch. So I grabbed that off the tray as well. So I have some adhesive here to use. I've got some Fabri-Tac and some art glitter glue. And I'm thinking that what I have here should be plenty to make probably some clusters. That's a real good place to start with a bunch of, oh, this was there too. And I can punch these out. I think they're 1.25 inches, they look like. Punch them out with a punch and use those. So let's look at just making some clusters out of bits and pieces and scraps. We can cluster on a tag. We can cluster separately that can be added to a larger tag or a journal page or a swap or anything like that. Look at those all stuck together. Oh, just a little bit. Yeah, we'll just let them stick right. Maybe I'll just put them up here, let them stick right there. And if I need them, they're easy to grab, but they can stick onto something and not pick up another piece of paper that's maybe more delicate and can't handle the sticky on it and ruin it. Okay, so how do we start a cluster? a cluster needs to have something as a base. That could be a piece of fabric, but a piece of fabric might be kind of floppy. It could be a piece of paper. So you could start with a piece out of here, like find something that looks, that's got a good quote on it, so don't want to put things over that. Something like this. There's a bigger one. We could use some of these. Here's a brown one we could use, and then I could just tear that to shape, to the right shape. Well, how about this? That brown paper bag that was sewn. I can see the stitching. I think it's brown paper bag. I could be wrong, but this would be cool. Torn in half and used to make 2 clusters. Like that raw edge. Yeah, I might have to tear the other one too. That just looks a little too neat and tidy. It's pretty thick, so it's not as easy to tear. But, nope, that is not going to be so easy to tear. Maybe we can tear at least parts and pieces of it. And let it have a mixture. Ooh, that's tough. I'm trying to get really close to the edge, and that won't tear very easily. The farther in I get, the easier it is to tear. So maybe the key is starting in a little farther and then quickly going out to the edge, hoping you've got it rolling. Okay. Now, little things like this, I'm just going to put in the trash because I have way too many little things, bits and pieces, everything. So, well, let's work with one of those and one of these. And let's get something a little more interesting. That's interesting. It's got script on it. And, those roses are really pretty. That's really pretty. Looking for just like a variety of color. This is pretty thin, so I'm going to keep that out. Oh, that black would be pretty. All right, so this is the top of a piece of paper. Oh, either side. Either side would make a really great base. So you know what? We're going to get a base of each. So I'm going to tear the edges here because I don't want that to be all too nice and neat. For these clusters, you can make clusters that are all neat edges. In fact, I have an idea in mind for a tutorial I'll do probably next week where they are cut more even, more straight edges. Okay, so if I tear around there. So our first step is to find a base. And I'm thinking that it'll be just as easy to work with multiple bases at one time. Assuming I don't pull everything off onto the floor with my arm, which I just did. So give me just 1 minute here to pick these pieces up, bits and pieces off the floor. Just get those back on there. Probably should scoot those. Oh, there's some charms I found sitting there too. So we got all kinds of stuff to make some things. So I think it will be, well, I can say I know because I've done it before. I find it just as easy to work with multiple pieces at the same time. I'm going to leave that one. Do we want that side or do we want that side? That's kind of a cool side too. And let's see. These, we're going to do one on each side. We'll use that one. We'll use that one. And we're going to make this just a little smaller there. We have a new bit. Yeah, it's funny how you start using bits and pieces and you tear those up into bits and pieces and suddenly you end up with way more bits and pieces than you started with. How does that happen? I don't know, but it does. So I'm trying to allow myself that when it gets too small, like I could use that on something, but allow myself to just throw it away because I've got plenty to work with. I am not in need of that bit or piece or scrap or cut off or strip that is that tiny. Now this could be kind of a fun one, but we might want to use that on one. Let's see here. Do we think that this one is strong enough to be a base? Or do we want to add it to one? It's just as strong as that, right? Sure. Let's see how this tears with the book page. Tears quite easily. I'm just going to tear it all the way down. Make it easy for the next one too. Okay. A little stability down there, but I don't remember why I did that. Don't remember what the project was, or why I decided to do that. All right. So, I think for this project, we'll take it right off. And we could probably tear right there and get two very nice clusters out of it. There we go. Let's try that. I'm going to see. I didn't count for having all this stuff here that I just pulled off of the tray. Let's see if we can work all of these at the same time. Let's just do 6. We got just the right space right there. Okay, so our first step is a base. We've got a base, and then we need to add something on it, and I'm going to try to do everything that's on this. I'm going to try to do from bits and pieces. If I feel like I need to go grab something or reach in a drawer or something, I'll do that, but I'm still going to try to reach for something that's a bit and piece and work from there. So I just had a thought about this washi. This washi has, come on, when you dig through tons of boxes at estate sales, hands get dry, fingernails break. This has dream catchers on it. And I've got feathers sitting right here. Wouldn't it be fun to do something with the dream catchers and the feather and a feather? Let's see which dream catcher. They're not the same. So I'm deciding, I think this is how I end up with bits and pieces of washi. I think I want to use that one. So I tear it off right here, and now I've got 2 dream catchers. So I stick that over here onto my computer or my light stand or something, and now it's hanging there waiting to be used. And now I have bits and pieces of washi tape. All right, let's just put this right there. I have no idea where we're going with any of these. None of this was planned. And my intent is to show you that you can sit down, gather up your bits and pieces, and just start making, just start creating, and end up with something that you really like. Okay. So they all are going to need something on that base to get started. And that is probably going to be another piece of paper of some sort. So this, that is a book page. Let me see. Maybe I might first need to do some inking because it's often, oh, it's hard to ink these that are so thin. It's easier to ink before you get a ton of stuff on it. And I did grab a couple of other inks besides just Vintage Photo, which I use a lot. I grabbed Walnut Stain and a black, but also a Tattered Rose, Victorian Velvet, and Milled Lavender. Those are really, really pretty when mixed with the Vintage Photo. And here I am thinking we're going to end up with pink base and all these pink things. And I've got a blue napkin over here. So do we have one that's pink? Do we have anything that, look at this, is not a lot, but it's a little. We could use that and build pink on that. I don't have pink fabric or anything, but it's all right. Okay. I'll just try to get some of these edges just so they're not so white, and see that white torn. Yeah, this is going to be a fun month, so start gathering up all of your scraps and bits. Probably got a scrap bin, a bit bucket, so gather up all the scraps and bits. And then your paper, gather up all the offcuts and the strips. And we're going to use them like crazy this month because it's going to take us right into next month's All About. December's All About, which I'm very excited about. And December's All About will set us up for January. So gather up all your things so you can get making. The more you make with them this month, the better off you're gonna be as you work through the next couple months. Okay, this one should look really cool with, might need the darker, it might need, let's try a walnut stain on that one because it's not, you could be here forever doing that over and over again. Walnut stain will just darken those edges a little faster. And I don't want it to look all nice and neat and like it was done purposefully, intentionally, and in one way. Let me get the edge of that washi a little bit. Okay, on white paper that washi melts in and you don't see it, but on this brown paper you do see it, and that's okay. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna take this just in case I feel like I want to build something pink on it. But I might even end up doing this one with the pink. This is a walnut stain, so it is a little darker. It might be going off camera when I hold that back there to ink. I'm gonna put it back to Vintage Photo for this. This is how I store sponges for this. I have one on the back of every ink, no matter what size. On the little ones, if you have the sets of little inks, these fit perfectly right inside of it. You don't need a piece of Velcro. But on the bigger inks, I just put a piece of Velcro on the back. of each ink, and then the sponge stays really nicely. Now, you get this good with vintage photo, but then I'm going to show you what I mean by looks really good with those a little bit. Tattered rose, Victorian velvet, or milled lavender. Already getting inky fingers. I'm going to grab the Victorian velvet Distress Oxide. Grab its sponge. I really like the way this looks when mixed with vintage photo. It's a very cool aged effect. And you can pretty much do this with any of the colors. All depends on what kind of effect you want. It kind of makes a color not just stand out so much as that color because it's got the vintage photo with it. Oh, accidentally, I really like how those corners turned out. Okay. Maybe just a little bit back here just so they're not... Okay. All right, we can add that to any others that we want to along the way, or any other color for that matter. All right, so we're going to start with typically another piece of paper of some kind on here. So this one is a book page, so I want to look for something that is maybe printed, maybe has some color, something like that. Oh, I really like the images in here on this piece of wrapping paper. Those are so, so pretty. I might can use one from there. Got these fleur-de-lis. I'm losing my clusters over here. Let's see, this would make a good base too. Just cut a small piece, or I might not tear. This might be a little thick to tear, but it might. Here's another fun one. A little dark with that. So we can decide which way we want to turn them. Okay, so this one, that piece can actually do us well with two. I really like the design in the middle, but I don't want it to be quite so structured with the straight edges. So we'll tear around that, and while I'm tearing, we'll do the same thing on the little piece. Pretty white edge there, so we'll need to get back here to vintage photo and at least take care of that white edge. We probably could have done that with the pink, huh? With that Victorian velvet, that would have been real pretty. And doing this kind of roughs up those edges, tears them a little bit even, as well as color them. And I kind of like that look. All right. So as you're gathering together all your bits and pieces, I know that you're going to have things come to your mind. Oh, I could do this, or I could do that. What I want you to do is write those things down. You may not even have an idea yet of how you would do that or accomplish that, but you're thinking, I could. I'm pretty sure that, that would work great for this, but not sure how to do it. I want you to write them down, because we can then take those ideas and build upon them, or do Saturday Night Lives on them. We can do tutorials on them. How about a little piece of map for this one? Let's see. And here's another tip. If you don't know what to do, aren't sure what to do, just do something. Honestly, it really doesn't even matter what. Just do something. Because as you do something, like I just grabbed that, put it down here. As you do something, you'll either like it or you won't. If you like it, you'll put it down, you'll move forward. If you don't, then you'll take it off and you'll do something else. But we get so hung up on, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure what to do, I don't know what I want to do, and then we do nothing, and then we just kind of get stuck there. Okay, so I'm putting some paper, some piece of paper on top of our piece of paper that's our base. And I'm trying to break it down to just some super easy steps. So if you haven't made clusters before, you'll feel comfortable and confident in just grabbing some stuff. How about a little piece of book page that's inked up on this one? That. And we get that on, we can even ink it more. Doesn't need to be so bright and white. Okay. And what are we going to do on these two? Let's see. This one needs some color. Okay. How about something like this? I think that would be perfect for it. Just tear that off. Tear us an edge there. Let's see, there's some script behind that. Let's see if I can, no, goes this way, okay. Yeah, I know a lot of you have the same thoughts that I have. I really like that piece of paper and I don't want to cover it up, but you can't make a cluster without covering it up. And part of the intrigue of the cluster is that you know there's layers of things and you can see just enough of them that you know it's something cool, something that you like, that really attracts you, but you can't see enough of it. You can just see a little bit of it. And that's intriguing. And we like that. And that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to move these little sticky thingy guys out of the way here. Uh-oh, I think I might have to sneeze. Okay. All right, so we need some kind of piece of paper on this one and this one, and or it could be, if it's a strong base like this is a strong base, it could be a piece of fabric. Uh-oh, gonna sneeze. Here's a strip of Paris fabric. Oh, excuse me. I did turn my head and sneezed into my elbow. All right. Let's see if I can just distress this edge a little bit here. more to keep coming out of there. I wanted some to come out of the top, but the angle that it's cut at means I'm just now getting to these, which are way inside down here. So what about the bottom? Might even just leave that. I kind of like the threads hanging out, raggedy. We can leave that, and we won't feel bad putting something up here, will we? Because it's plain paper. I mean, plain paper. It's plain fabric, and so we won't feel like we're covering up something cool. All right, so where, let's see, we'll put it here so we can put something up there. Gonna need something big up there. Okay. Man, it's kind of weird not having planned any of it, just grabbed a bunch of random things and putting it together. Because usually I would say, all right, here's a theme of what I want stuff to be, and I'm doing it for this journal or for this project, something like that. And that's a little easier because I've got a theme to follow and an idea of what I want to come out with in the end. I don't. So I don't at all. Not at all. That's a really cool piece, isn't it? Could go in there. That could go down here too. That could go right there. What if we even had, let's see, that thing is just holding these two together all at that curve. If I don't want that curve, if I just take that out, I can still layer these two. So what if I did it straight and that one over it straight? So they're going to meet on the bottom because they were actually sewn together. The ribbon came together as one. This is actually vintage ribbon. I don't think it's 100 years old, so lace. So I'm not going to say it's antique because I don't believe it is. But it's definitely vintage lace that I pulled off of something. And then just thought, I wonder if I could separate those. So I've been separating it and using them as I go. I think we're a little too far. There we go. Okay. Then do we want a strip of Paris on there? Which direction is up? What is up? This way. This direction is up. We could put a strip on there. We get a lot of strips there, so then we need stuff on top of it that's not strips. So we're not just going up and down with everything all over the place. Okay, that would work. And else I just bumped something else off. Not even sure what it was. But I better move this little jar of gold so I don't bump it off. That would not be pretty. Okay. Wonder if these burlap flowers would be pretty on this. Oh, one of these might be pretty on this. These are I think these are actually ornaments. They look like perfume bottles to me. I'm just not sure that that's what I want there. Maybe we don't want to go all the way across. Yeah, see, this is my problem with just grabbing stuff and playing, because nothing's planned. Oh well, we're going to do that. We are going to just start putting it down. What did I say? If you can't decide, just do something. If you don't like it, you'll keep layering upon it. If you do like it, then you'll add to it. Okay, so this is actually going to go over quite far. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for that. Come on. I'm trying to keep my finger where my mark is, and that's kind of stuck to the glue at the top. My mark being how much I need to have adhesive on it. And I really don't want to do that directly on here because it's lace. You know, some of it's going to go through. So let's do it on this paper because that will be okay. I think I moved my mark. Yep. All right, let's just do this far, because we can always add to the ends if we need to get the ends glued down. So I'm actually not going to put it on the whole thing. I'm just doing a little bit here and there. I will do a little bit down this strip. Man, this is feeling really thick today. It's been really cold though, so I'm thinking it's probably just contracted like everything else has in the cold. Okay, bits and pieces. All right, so let's bring this guy back. I'm going to turn it this way. Just trying to get a hold of it without grabbing the glue. Okay. Grab some scissors. I think these will work. Cut it off there. May end up cutting that down, but we'll see. Okay, so that end didn't get glue. That end does, so it's up a little bit. That's okay. So let's get a little bit at this end. Okay. Now let's put the pink down. This will be easier because we know that the pink is going to line up with the edge of this. So we can just put, I can't say a bead down the edge because it's not beading. It's pretty thick. I don't know. Do any of you ever thin out Fabri-Tac? If you do, leave me a comment and let me know that you do and how you do it. I've never thinned my Fabri-Tac before when it gets really thick and harder to squeeze like that, but it gets a little hard on my hands actually, especially for a long time if you want to glue a whole bunch of things. I would really love to know if you know how to thin down Fabri-Tac, what works, what doesn't work, if you've tried things that don't work. Yeah, leave me a comment, let me know. I love learning things from subscribers. They're so smart. Rather than making all the mistakes over and over. We're trying to reinvent the wheel. that somebody else already perfected. All right, so we're going to put this down right along the edge of the other one, so they'll share an edge. Had to stretch it out a little bit because it's used to, for umpteen years, I don't know how many, it's used to being curved with this one. So let's cut that off. Bottom one almost looks like that's just sticking out a little far, but I don't know. We'll see how we feel about it when we finish. Okay. Okay, now we can add this strip if we want. We can, that's actually kind of a cool strip. We can do, we could put something like this on it. Right at the center, we can put just one on it with flower, no, or butterfly, no, not that one anyway. Not, what did I just do with that little red cap? Let's cap that up there. Got a nice little pennant there. We could use one of these cute little envelopes with the card in it. We could see what we've got on here. A lot of purple, a lot of lavender would go with that. All right, there's that. What about a lock and key? Maybe we want to use a lock and key for this. Oh, but it's not a lock and key. It's just the lock and the fleur-de-lis. Maybe we'll use a fleur-de-lis on here. Okay. But I guess the next thing is, do we want to do this trim? And I'm thinking that we do. I'm thinking that looks pretty cool. It makes it look a little more finished, like that's supposed to be there. So let's see, because that's fabric also. See if we can run a bead down next to, maybe it's starting to warm up a little bit, and then a little bit on the lace itself. So we've got some next to and some on, and then we're going to overlap that edge with this. All kinds of cool things on it. We know we're going to cover some of it up. So how about we just go right there. Okay. All right. Okay. How about I'm gonna see what else is over here in this little pile that I've already forgotten about. How about a flower? That's kind of the same color as that lace there. We could even have a little bit of lace sticking out the bottom. We could even make it a leaf, but make it almost pretend like a leaf. Just a little green coming out of that there. I think there might be some more of that. I thought there was more. Don't know that I'm crazy about that. How about, what I didn't get was a bunch of embellishments to put on there. You know, we could always, I'm trying to use up bits and pieces. All right, where'd the lid go? There we go. These buttons. Oh, and there's some smaller buttons in a bag over here. So I just had a thought that we could, let's see, that's pretty close to that, isn't it? Yeah. All right. We could do a button and flower thing, like with these, or with even white ones, or they're all flat. Man, I'm just not feeling exactly what I want to feel. Isn't that weird? It's a little crazy. Little cray-cray. Because I want it to look at it and have it inspire me as to exactly what it wants from me, what I want to do with it, and okay, don't know. No. I need to dirty up that fabric a little bit. It's just a little too white. Okay, now that might work. All right, and what goes with it? We could make a fleur-de-lis go with it, right there. We could put it right there underneath the flower. We could put it right there. I probably should have grabbed my whole bit bucket. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut this in half. There was two there. I just cut two in half. All prepared for the next one. That's gonna need to be inked. But what if we put that down? And then we're building on top of that. Okay, I think we should give that a little bit of Victorian velvet with the vintage photo. A little harder to do these doilies. They're pretty delicate. So I just set it on my glass surface and kind of pounce on the edge. Even though that's going to be covered, I'm going to, because if you grab it and drag it, then you end up tearing the doily. So really just pouncing on the edges. I'll give it a little bit more throughout. Okay. So if that, oh, no, forgot what I even said. I want to give it a little bit of Victorian velvet. So let's get that on there. There we go. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Perfect. Okay, look at that. That matches that lace really nicely. Okay, now we're coming along. So if that goes there, and then this paper layers here, and then this flower layers right there, and then all we need is a word or a, let's see, there was a couple of words here that needed to be cut out. Laugh more, let's fly away, I love you lots, happy place, hello sunshine, happy place, or be brave with your life. Let's see what else we've got with these. Love them all, just want to make sure I get the right one for the feel. That one does say Paris, a postmark of Paris. Oh, there we go. That one does as well. I think they might be the same thing even. We got this one that we could put embrace the journey, own your dreams, and so the adventure begins. Let's see. If I cut this, close because I don't want it too big, but not too close because I'd like to stress the edges a bit. Okay, but don't just drop them all right on the... Okay, let's see. We could put embrace the journey down here. We can vintage those edges a little more. It's almost a little big, isn't it? I thought there was some more. Let's see. There's a couple. There's a key. There's too much going that direction. And I feel like, well, I feel like we should just go ahead and put this down. So I'm going to hold this part because I pretty much want adhesive on all the rest of it. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac again because it's going to attach mostly to fabric right there, partly to paper. Just getting a little bit here and there. The whole thing's not going to be coated, but then I don't want it squishing out the sides of it anyway, so a little bit here and there will do it. It's a very thin piece of paper. Yeah, I think that'll work. And no adhesive over there. Awesome. Okay, same thing with this one. Whoop. Everything but this corner. And it's going to be mostly on that lace. So we'll hit it with Fabri-Tac. Hand's going to be tired from the Fabri-Tac. Okay. Not going to put that down yet because if we want to slide something underneath it, I do think I'm going to cut off a little bit more of this netting that's underneath it. It's on a by the yard trim that you just cut off one flower at a time if you want, or use the whole thing as a trim. And so that netting or tulle type fabric that's underneath is what all the ribbons were sewn to, are sewn to. So I think I'll cut off a lot of that excess that's sitting out there. And see how I get in between them if I don't want all the excess in there. Instead of trying to go in and cut around it and come out, just cut in one side, then cut in the other side, and just cut out a little V chunk in one side, out the other. Okay, I think that'll be a little bit better. Yeah, not quite as much stuff. How about that one? Be brave with your life. Now, I do feel like it needs some bling. Something shiny. That's pretty. And it's the right colors. I always have these. We could put some along the bottom of that one. We could put some on this one. Right. And we do have these. Also got this tool here that we pulled off the bottom of the, there's another piece. Wow. Got a little ribbon and pattern paper too. That's, oopsie, don't fall. Needed it to be shorter, then we can distress the edges and get some of that out there. Maybe. Come on. Okay. Still feel like I want some more of that coming out, but we'll get to that. I'm going to give it a little bit of, what is that, Victorian velvet, because that's the sponge that's still on the dauber. We're not getting very far at the others, are we? So this kind of shows if it takes you longer to make clusters when you don't know exactly what you're going to make, but you want to use up your bits and pieces, don't worry about it. It's a process. If it's much faster when you sit down with a theme in mind and an idea, for a project, it's much easier to throw it together and feel like you at least knew what direction it was going. But don't worry about it. It's a process. Okay. How's that? Be brave with your life. Or like that. Be brave with your life, and then we need something shiny. What if we put this brad right here? And let's see. Just gonna go for it, right? We're just gonna go for it. If I can get the things out of the bag, we will go for it. Not a bag. This is strange. The never-ending bag. Oh, listen to all that crinkle. There we go. Wow, that was a little odd. All wrapped up. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a dot of glue up there. I'm going to put a dot of glue right there. And on those, I'm going to put, where is it? There it is. That. And that. Try to get all the glue strings off. Okay. All right, so I want that one to cover that hard edge right there. And then we want this one to stick out from it. Can cover a little of the bee, but we have to be able to read. Be brave with your life. Let's say to here. So let's get some Fabri-Tac on this. This is kind of a satiny fabric. Okay. Like that. Maybe even pull some more of those out. Okay. Let's get some Fabri-Tac on the back of this fabric flower and see if, sure. See if that'll do it. Yeah. Now, do we want that piece of bling right there? Right there. Or do we want another one of these? Maybe right under that edge. Right where they meet. Maybe we want it. I think we want one. We've got all kinds of little threads stuck to this one. There's some smaller ones. Let's put a little, what the heck? Let's bling it up. Let's put some little tiny guys right here in the corners because there's little ones. Oh, glue string. Glue string everywhere. There's one. And there's one. Those will settle in a second. Like that. Right. And, oh, didn't mean to push that guy off. Maybe we need one of these on this one up here or over here. Probably doesn't even matter, does it? Sometimes we sit and fuss and worry about these silly things that it doesn't even matter where it is. It's just the fact that it's there. It's adding to it. And all right, what if this brad was the center of that flower? What if that brad right down there and was the center of that flower? Is that too much? I kind of like it. I like a little bling with my vintage. All right, so probably should have thought about that before we glued it down, huh? But it doesn't matter because we don't always think about it. So we've always got a tool. We've always got a tool. Just looking for the right tool, and I've got too many rulers in my way. There it is. Oh, actually, if you are to see this really soon, I just got back from a trip to a warehouse to meet with a vendor. I got some of these. I just remembered that. They're not even unpacked yet, but I just remembered that when I looked at this. I got some because I love this tool. I use it all the time. It's just like an awl, but on the other end, it's got this like sticky silicone kind of stuff. So when you're trying to pick up one of these, or even a tinier little gem, you can pick it up like that and then set it down right on the glue. Makes it really easy to get things up. So I'm trying to decide exactly where I want this. And then all I'm going to do is make a hole. I'm going to do this right there. Because if I do it with my finger behind it, I always end up stabbing my finger really good. Oh yeah, I have a couple of these tools too. And this is the one with a little hook on the end that I bent. So probably should have grabbed the other one, but it worked. Probably need to just go out to the garage and put that on the sander. File that down a little bit. Just trying to get back into that same hole. The biggest thing is getting through the flower in the same place. Now, where did I set it? Why do I keep doing that? Oh, it's upside down. Didn't even see it. Okay. Keeping those two little brad points together, too, is a whole nother story. Sorry, I keep pulling it away because I can't see. Yeah, I can't see to get down the middle of that flower. So I'm going to try it this way. I can feel it here. All right. So where it is here, there it is. Now if I can get back that same direction with the brad as it pulls out, and if I can't, nope, that didn't work. This brad just feels like the ends are gonna break off of it. That's what it feels like. They don't feel very strong. I feel like if I put any pressure on them to push them through there, they're just gonna bend in the middle. So we'll give it just another attempt. There's always a way around it, but just gonna give it another attempt here because it feels like it's right on the right place, but I'm stuck on fabric because there's a lot of flower fabric right there to go through. Yeah, it's right there, but it is stuck on fabric. Okay, so the alternative. The alternative is to open up this brad, find the top of the glue, cover it up. It's probably too late. I don't even have, oh, here's an awl. It's going to be a little bit bigger hole. I don't know if I want a little bit bigger hole, but might even try. Let's see where that is. So I can feel it. There. Okay, I don't know why I'm even doing this because I don't think it's going to work. There's just too much fabric that gets in the way, and if it was pointy and sharp and strong, it could go through it, but it's it just bends. All right, so we're just going to scissors that I want. None of those actually, but I might not even try that one. I'm going to pull these out here. Actually, I might not even need, I don't have the right tool by me, but see, that's what I meant by feeling really flimsy. I didn't have to even cut it off or use a wire nipper or anything. I've got to get a little of this glue off my fingers. It's really getting in the way. Okay, so that came right off. Came right off there. So let's just glue this down right in the middle. Put a big glob of glue. I need to refill this bottle or just pull out another one. And then when a couple of them get low, combine them, huh? It'd probably be the easiest. That should be plenty big glob. And kind of wedge that down where it would be the center of that flower. And we'll call that the flower. Okay. Now I put that little dot right there and didn't think about whether I was going to actually make it a tag and put something up there. But the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking that that might be better along the edge and be a tuck spot, maybe even on this edge, and then be a tuck spot over here. So it may not end up being like a tag. But let's see, we're running out of time. Let's see if we can quickly take one or two of these others. Here's a feather one. I want to find a smallish feather, or 2 or 3 that would work with this. It's kind of a cool one. Fluff it up a bit. So I have chickens, and I gather up the feathers every day, and I wash them by hand. So if you ever buy feathers from me, or get feathers and you wash them by hand, and they come out looking oftentimes a lot like this, just very stuck in the center. And of course this is one of those styles anyway. And all you have to do is run your fingers over it a few times and it'll kind of fluff out. And if things are going the wrong way, they're going ski-wampus, really all you need to do is get your fingers a little wet and run it over, and it'll make all the little hairs of the feather turn and start going the same direction, like, or where they're supposed to. They're not always supposed to go the same direction. Gotta remember that too. Love this one from one of my little fluffy blue cochins. Okay, so maybe we want something in the corner. Yeah, I got some fluffy feathers there today. This kind of looks like treasure map paper. I know what I want. I know what I want, but I don't. Do I have it nearby? I don't know if I have it nearby. I want a large eyelet, kind that has the big wide edge, and I don't think they're right nearby. I know I've got some. I know where they are, but they're not really nearby, so let's see if I can grab another container and see if there happens to be one in there. That one's all brads. All brads. Excuse me while I'm trying to find this one, because I think it will look really cool if I've got it, but I don't really think I have one right nearby, but I've got these eyelets. Let's see if I can make one of these work. I'll show you what I was thinking. Set that aside. Okay, so these are not really big, but they're bigger than the tiny ones. I'm gonna grab. Where are all my tools today? Need a tweezer. It's like everything is not where it usually is or where it's supposed to be. Like somebody's been in here using them. I don't think so, but I don't even mind as long as stuff gets back where It should be so I know where to find it. Here we go. So let's grab one of those. Oh, I just keep knocking things off, don't I? Let's set that back down there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to punch a hole right there in the corner. I'm going to grab my crocodile. See what hole we need. Probably the small one. Okay. I'm going to punch a hole right there. I'm trying to make sure that it's far enough in, since this is only paper. I don't want it too close to the edge. If it's close to the edge, it is just going to tear out for sure. Okay. And let's see here. Looking for which, I think that's the one I want. Come on, crocodile. All of a sudden this little tool is being funky. There we go. Not going where it's supposed to. All right, so here's my thought. Take 3 of these nice, furry, fluffy feathers. And I want to put them coming down from here. And I should put a tiny bit of glue there and just set them on. Because then I want to just put the eyelet over it so the edge of the eyelet catches the point of the feather. Makes sense. And so the point of the end, the tip of the feather, no, this is the tip, sorry, the end of the feather, the point of the quill there is under the eyelet. That's what I want, is for it to be under the eyelet. Yeah, these are not going to lay flat because they're just not flat feathers. So we've got a nice red one. And we've got all these little pieces of fabric, strings of fabric in there. It's a nice white one. This is from a red chicken, and that's from a white chicken. This one actually comes from her name's Tweety. What is she? She's a sultan. Her hair is so fluffy, and it goes every which way. Okay, that's what I wanted. Now, I don't know if I want this to be white. I don't think I do. And remember, I tell you all the time, don't worry about what color the metal is. Just get the metal that you want, because you can change the color with Nouveau Mousse or a variety of others. But Nouveau Mousse is super easy to do that with. So I'm looking through the Nouveau Mousse and I'm just deciding what color I want it. Grab, let's see. This one is burning bronze, and I think bronze would be a good color for this. So here's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna grab a little of that with my finger. Realized I might not even be on camera. And I'm just gonna bronze up the top. Now if I have something really tiny, I can get inside and like a little Q-tip or something. And that might even be easier after it's on. So I'm gonna put this on, and then I'm gonna look at, have to be a really tiny Q-tip, probably a toothpick. I might wrap just a little something around it and get it right in the edge. And I don't happen to have one right here, although you'd be like this. But if I wrap just a tiny bit of cotton or something around the end of the toothpick, it would get in there and it would rub it on. This will push it in there, but it won't rub it on. So now I've changed the color of this and made it bronze. And so now I put that in that hole. Let's see, let's hope I did. I don't think that hole is big enough. It isn't. Looks like I should have used the big hole. Now I'll have to do it with the feathers there. Just going to go right over the top of it to make the hole a little bit bigger, which I did, and I actually took off the end of the quills. Right there. Probably could put a tiny bit of adhesive under another part of the feather too, but I want to make sure that they are right there underneath. Okay, and they are. So now I'm going to put it in my crocodile and make sure it's set up on the bottom. Give it a squeeze, and there it is. So it'll help to put a little adhesive on these feathers, but see how the tip is underneath the edge. Yep, and now I'll have easier access to part of that eyelet to change the color. Just bronze that up a little right there. Not that it matters because that's the back, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll do a little dangle with that. So it does need something else over here. What do we want? What do we want? Don't know that we have. We were going to use this. We could still use that. And I do have some, I have some wooden embellishments that I think would be great on this, but I don't have them right here. So, therefore, they aren't great on this, right? And we're just layering stuff. We're just layering stuff. Okay, I think that'll work. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to put this down. Let's use a little bit of Fabri-Tac. How much of it do I want? Glue. Most of it except a little on that side. Okay, like Fabri-Tac. It's so easy to use and it's so quick drying. Make sure our feathers are on top of it. And they are. Okay, I'm actually going to put just a tiny bit of Fabri-Tac underneath here. And let that feather attach to that. And same thing with that one. All right. Okay, I think this will work, but I don't want this great big sticky pad back here that'll raise it up so much. I'd really like it to just be flat. So I'm just going to pull most of that off. And then this will go underneath it. So maybe I could just glue that to this so that when it go wherever I set it down, it'll be right there already on it. I won't have to lay it down first and worry about getting in the right place. I'm seeing how it's taking me way longer to build these embellishments, clusters, because I did not have a plan to begin with, because the goal is to use up the scraps. So again, I would say just be patient with yourself, give yourself time, and I'm starting to feel now like I'm getting in the groove, and I could look at scraps and maybe do something a little bit quicker, but that's after sitting here looking at them and, you know, playing with them for over an hour. So you gotta be patient and give yourself time when there's not a plan, but the plan is to use them up. Or you can grab more things, additional things to use with them to help you get certain themes. I mean, you could say, all right, I'm working on a Wild Wild West journal. So I want to make Wild Wild West embellishments, but I want to use up all my scraps and my bits and pieces. Or a romantic, or, you know, Victorian, or any of those kinds of things. And then you could turn any of it into those things with a few extra embellishments. But I didn't grab any extras. I literally only have what was right on my tray behind my desk. Okay. So I do want to put something through there. I know I saw a little piece of string that might work, although I might, let's do this. I might actually want to use brown twine, or I might want to braid something. I actually might even want to use a little bit of chain. But right now I'm pulling this thread underneath my vintage photo ink pad, stamper, dauber. And yeah, a lot of ways you could do this too. So what if I just do this? Keep going off screen, I apologize for that. Squeeze that together and bring it through. Then I can separate it and put this through that loop. I think I might like a chain on it, or a piece of burlap that looks like a lasso. Miniature rope. Okay, so there's that one. And there's this one, which is much more Victorian. Move that out of the way. Need to take care of that. So I'm going to stop there just because of time. And, you know, just starting to get into it and realizing that without a theme or direction when I start, how much longer it takes me to get started, how much slower going it is. But it's okay. I feel like I got a good start, and I now feel like I can sit here with these others and I can pop some things on them much quicker, because it's starting to get a feel for what scraps I have in front of me. And then I can also run around and grab some additional things to use with them to embellish them. But yeah, so whoop, thanks for joining me today. I will be back with another tutorial soon, because I've got a lot of ideas for using up your scraps and bits and offcuts and strips for November, and I know Sharon does as well. So we'll be getting a lot of tutorials out there for you, and we'll see you at the Friday night sales, and we'll see you on our Saturday night lives, which are a ton of fun. If you haven't been to those, you got to check out Saturday Night Live. So we'll see you there. So I will be back soon. Thanks for joining me, but until I do come back, stay curious.